It's Friday. That means showbiz all the way. More showbiz than Broadway. More showbiz than Shaftesbury Avenue. More showbiz than bumping into Christopher Biggins in Tesco. I'm Russ Kane. Hi, everybody. This is the Midday Show. And by the way, before we start, I just had a little bit of a technical disaster. Not to do with the show. I always make myself an espresso before the show, right? For some reason, I turned my back and the machine, so I put my little cup, right, which I bought in France years ago. I put the little cup underneath the thing. Boom. It decides to just pour out endless espresso. And I put the blooming cup. I filled up 3 or 4 cups. I'm now on my 4th espresso. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him. You love him. If there's a first night, he'll be there. If there's something to be said, he will say it. Ladies and gentlemen, our fearless frontiersman, the cultural critic of the Midday Show. Oh, hang on. Now she's turned up. Well, you're too late. Jonathan Baz. JB, how are you? Emily, I'm going to have to come to you in about half an hour. Right.
Russ, I'm good. And it's good to be back. In between shows, I've hopped across the pond.
You have
caught a little bit of Broadway last weekend.
Caught a little bit of cheesecake. In fact, more than a little bit, Jonathan Baz. All I got was photos of, oh, look at this cheesecake. What do you think of this cheesecake? And I'm like, I want them.
To be fair, the cheesecakes were as good as the entertainment. In fact, maybe at times the cheesecakes were the entertainment.
They are better. They're better.
But it was outstanding. One of them was a cheesecake with apple pie.
Oh my God. Oh, mind officially blown.
Had an apple pie filling at the bottom underneath the cheese.
Come on.
The other cheesecake from Bond 45 NYC, which is in the middle of Theatre District, was recommended to me by a theatre friend who's first of all saw the apple pie cheesecake, was plain cheesecake, strawberries on the top, and a side pot of fudge sauce that you applied as needed to the cheesecake.
The greatest country in the world.
Indeed.
On cheesecake alone.
For guys and dolls aficionados, I was looking for strudel on the menu too to see if I could do a comparison.
Too heavy. Too heavy.
Didn't
right.
work.
Now,
anyway,
we're going to squeeze in an extra guest after you, called Emily Dexter, who's come on to say, if she'd have been on here right at the start of the show, we would have had her on, but now we're going to come on after you because I know we have to keep this completely clean, as they say. Jonathan Baz, the stage is yours, no pun intended.
Couple of shows to talk about, and then a little bit of a chat about theatre news. So, anyway, sticking with shows, and let's pick up where I rudely had to chop myself off a couple of weeks ago when I ran out of time talking. And in fact, this is a nice little cheesecake segue. Because the show that we were talking about was Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York. Whereas my experience was a theatre critic sits down and eats cake
and stuffs his face with cheesecake in New York.
Yes, indeed.
Could be the follow-up musical. Who knows?
Well, I think a musical about me stuffing my face with cheesecake in New York.
It would run and run.
That just the potential is beyond imagination.
Huge.
But Two Strangers, it really is, because at times I can sit here and I can bemoan new writing because of its mediocrity. This is new writing at its most gorgeous. It's a very clever tale of a chap who lands at JFK Airport to go to the wedding of his dad, who he's never ever met in his life. This chap's in his mid-20s. Dad left the scene before he was born. And he is met at the airport by his future stepmother's sister, who's a woman of approximately similar age. Yes,
I'm already completely
They are
lost
complete
with familial
strangers.
tale.
They've got a mission to go via Brooklyn to Manhattan to pick up the wedding cake in Brooklyn.
Right.
And over the course of 24 hours, because the wedding is the next day and then he's flying home, as you can imagine, a very lovely friendship develops between the two. And I'm not going to give any spoilers here because during the course of the 2 hours of the show,
Right.
The reveals that get made about both of their histories, their backstories, and the narratives are very clever, very unexpected. It's gorgeous. There's a lot to laugh at, a little bit to cry at.
Oh.
The songs are lovely. It is lovely, lovely new writing. Really, people, if you like a rom-com, for want of a better word, go see it.
Do sing so well up to that point.
I
was doing so well. Your fans in New York are obviously all saying hello, so well done to you.
Indeed, and hello to them. And it's on until the end of August. It's had its run extended. It only has a cast of 2, so that's also quite shrewd work from the writers and the producers.
Shrewd work from their accountants.
The producers haven't got to risk a massive bag of cash. It's still a huge bag of cash, but it's not as big as it could be. Sam Tutty plays the British bloke, and Dujonna Gift plays the American young lady. It's gorgeous. That's all I'll say about it. As gorgeous as cheesecake. Go and see it. Equally good, but arguably better, because the Cake Show got 4 stars. This one gets 5.
What?
It's People, Places and Things, starring Denise Gough, currently at the Trafalgar Theatre, returning to London. I think it was here 5 or 6, maybe 7 years. Oh gosh, maybe even longer.
Years ago,
a National Theatre production.
What's it called again?
People, Places and Things.
Okay.
And that title is derived from the 3 things, for want of a word, the 3 zones that recovering addicts should avoid if they are really to try and keep themselves clean from their hitherto addictions that they've suffered from.
All right.
It's a beautifully researched piece, hideously well acted. It's harrowing to watch. It's the closing line of my review, the closing paragraph. It's for those that can handle human suffering. It's unmissable theatre. This woman goes through. Denise Gough is the lead character, who's on stage throughout, playing an actress called Emma, who checks into a clinic with her various addictions and problems. The play charts, sometimes graphically, with the portrayal of the hallucinations that she suffers from. The play charts her painful journey, cold turkey, group therapy. You might think, yada, 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 this sounds like a mental health checklist.
Kind of.
It was outstanding theatre. Her acting is amazing. Sinead Cusack pops up in 2 roles.
We like her.
One as the sort of leading clinician and therapist, who's guiding Emma through her journey. And then towards the end, she plays Emma's mother. And there is a very, very complicated relationship in this family. There's been a bereavement in the family. There's a lot of resentment. There's a lot of grief. And frankly, the play ends with painful, unfinished business. It is not a happy night at the theatre by any means, but it is a brilliant night at the theatre. It's back until the middle of August the 10th.
Yep.
I cannot fault it for the quality.
Blimey. You heard it first.
How it portrays this particular woman's mental health issues, journey, and it's outstanding theatre.
Does it I won't see it because I think the world is grim enough, and that's my ludicrous, bourgeois attitude to theatre, right? Which would have made Dr. Jonathan Miller spin. But there you go. That's always been my attitude. But does it inform you? Do you come out thinking, I have a bigger understanding of mental health issues or addiction or whatever the hell this poor woman is going through?
I think the short answer is yes.
Okay.
It certainly made me think through the course of my 7 decades on this planet. I've observed in a personal capacity different aspects of people who struggle with mental health challenges.
Absolutely.
And I found the play informative, upsetting, and as a work of art, very impressive. So I'll leave it at that. And as far as what one can come back to theatre for something else, for sheer hilarious escapism, and I'll be picking up on this in another show, Fawlty Towers, let me just say now, as a very brief one, is glorious. It is pure escapism. But I'm going to talk more about that in another show.
I know you are, but I have to ask the question, because people are watching all over the world, especially the fan base in New York, is this, very briefly, so I don't want to preempt what you're going to say in a couple of weeks' time. Fawlty Towers, you look at it, you think, those 12 shows were perfection, about as good as comedy writing and ensemble acting can be.
Yep.
The expectation is so huge. Your memories are so gigantic with it. It's a brave and dangerous thing to do. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And this cynical critic sat there. I wasn't there on the actual press night. I was busy. I was there the night before. So I caught the penultimate, because I know other critics have been there earlier in the run and have commented on flaws. I found it relatively flawless.
Yeah.
And I sat there before the curtain went up saying, okay, show me what you've got, because I've also grown up with Fawlty Towers.
That's such a Broadway attitude, isn't it? The Broadway attitude is, okay, impress me.
Yeah, I sat there as a cynic at the beginning. I left, my face was wet with laughter. I have not cried with laughter that much in a long time.
Oh, fantastic. All right. I need to know no more. Loving the sound of that.
Absolutely. And as I say, I went as a cynic.
Of course.
And I came out
a
as a
cynic
convert.
Is what a romantic calls a realist.
A show that I caught up with in New York last week was Tommy. It's called The Who's Tommy.
Of course.
And it is that rock opera album, which Ken Russell turned into a gorgeous movie with Roger Daltrey and who was it? Who was the Acid Queen? I forget.
Tina Turner.
Was it Tina Turner in the movie?
Tina Turner, yeah.
Right.
It's the Acid Queen.
And this is the stage version, adapted many years ago by a chap called Des McAnuff. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He directs it here. This show, in fact, was in London, 20, 30 years ago, briefly. Yeah, wow. And now back on Broadway for the first time in a very, very long time. And if you're in Broadway and you want to go and see a good musical, another pretty grim story, let's be honest.
Not great.
But
not uplifting, is it?
But the songs are out of this world. They do it really, really well. They even make a decent fist of the English accents.
Yeah. God blimey, Mary Poppins.
Yeah, it is better than Dick Van Dyke.
Nothing's better than Dick Van Dyke. He is up there forever.
Though to be honest, Dick Van Dyke at the very end as the old banker, a wooden leg named Smith. That line gets me every single time. But going back to Tommy via Mary Poppins, it's gorgeous, if that's the right word. A chappie called Ali Louis Bourgeois plays Tommy as the adult. Incredibly, they have two kids as well, playing Tommy aged 10 and Tommy aged 4. You can imagine for the 10-year-old, given that a number of the songs refer to the paedophilic abuse that Tommy suffered, and also the that was from his Uncle Ernie, and the sadistic abuse.
Wicked Uncle Ernie. I'm not even going to do it. I saw Tommy at the Royal Albert Hall, performed by The Who. Keith Moon was still alive. Entwistle was still alive. They did the whole show. Billy Idol came on.
Pinball Wizard?
I think Billy Idol was the Pinball Wizard.
Yeah.
And Keith Moon played Wicked Uncle Ernie.
Yeah.
Wearing a horrible Mac. And he opened the Mac and it was full of stuff which I am not going to discuss.
Well, I have to say they deal with those particular grim aspects of Tommy's journey. They deal with it very well. And these child actors are not exposed to anything whatsoever that's inappropriate.
Thank God. Don't need that.
But it's staged magnificently, and the two cast, obviously I only saw one of them, who played Tommy aged 4. It was in fact a young girl who was a brilliant performer. I think I saw the young girl's name.
Oh, thank goodness Phil Dave's not here. He'd start foaming at the mouth. He'd get very upset.
Fabulous. She was a very, very good young Tommy. Finds herself thrown all over the stage.
American child actors and actresses are really very, very good. If you compare an American cast with, say, the early Harry Potter films, and you watch their acting, it's toe curling. It's that bad.
Yeah.
Still, they made millions out of it, and are so grateful, aren't they? Aren't they grateful? Okay.
Indeed.
So Tommy, okay.
Yeah. So if you're in, I mean, I hope it comes to London, because it's a long time since Tommy was on the West End stage. It was on in the Fringe about 10 years ago down in Greenwich, in what was in fact a gorgeous production, I have to say. But I'd love to see this show come to the West End, because there's a generation of theatre goers who do not know what Tommy is about.
I actually think there's two God, Jesus, I feel old. I think there's two generations who have. I saw Tim Rice the other night. We won't come on to it in depth. And I afterwards, I was sorting something out, and I ran into a guy, and he's got a guitar on his back, and I'm sharing a lift with him. And I said, "Oh, you've been gigging?" And he went, "Yeah, I was playing in a bar in Hoxton or Islington." I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm a young guy." I said, "Oh, good. You know, I could see he was a professional musician." I said, "Oh, I just been to see Sir Tim Rice." I went, "Tim Rice?" I thought, Jesus, this guy's a professional musician.
But did you then reference his? You then referenced some of Tim's
I then
work?
said, Evita, Joseph Amazing Color Dreamcoat, ring a bell? Jesus Christ Superstar? Oh, cool.
But what about a Disney? What about Aladdin?
Finally said, Aladdin? Does that ring a bell at all?
Yeah, The Lion King.
I finally got in with The Lion King. Oh,
yeah.
He wrote that? Yes.
Yeah.
He wrote The Lion King.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So,
Kids, by the way,
it's been an interesting...
I say this against myself, Jonathan. I said to my son, who's going to be 26, one of the kids, one of the twins, Tim Rice, none.
Didn't mean a thing. Yeah,
never heard
I get that. Well, I mean,
he loved The Lion King. When I said The Lion King and Aladdin, he loved those. Remember?
I mean, those. I mean, I put that in my review of the Tim Rice show. He's the backdrop not only to my youth but my kids' youth through the Disney songs. But you know, as far as kids who haven't heard a thing, my son, who's an actor, found himself with an easy ticket to Fawlty Towers this week. He's not really familiar with the series. Loved it. Absolutely loved the show. The comedy worked, and that's a mark of credit to the show.
So just quickly, because I know you want to talk about it in the future, if you're not familiar with the work at all, you can come to it stone cold and just see it as a piece.
He came to it. There you go. Okay. There you go. So, as we know, or we may or may not know, tomorrow night, sadly, Sheridan Smith's musical opening night will have its closing night. Indeed, a month or so, or half a number of weeks earlier than planned, because the ticket sales have been.
So presumably someone's taken a massive bath on that.
Yeah. The producers
a fortune.
With some of their deep pockets will have had their deep pockets dented.
Absolutely raided.
A bit. Good for them for taking the risk, etc., etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
The critics were split over the show, and as we know, audiences haven't bought tickets. Some people have loved it. Some people have walked out at halfway.
Walked out of it. Yes, I've heard of people leaving, saying we can't follow this. We can't follow the plot.
I personally enjoyed it, but as I wrote in my review at the time, having seen it, that certainly some of the lyrics, I'm just going to read my notes here, occasionally drift into repetitive triteness from Rufus Wainwright. Try saying that after a few drinks. Rufus Wainwright, who's written music and lyrics. The music, most of it actually is quite lovely. His lyrics really are at times trite and shallow. Wainwright got interviewed by The Guardian towards the beginning
my favorite paper. Yeah, go on.
And he blamed the dismal box office performance on Brexit.
Not crap lyrics, then.
No, on Brexit.
Of course.
on the audiences, the British audience's insular thinking, unable to get under the skin of European theatre. Well, it had a European director, but it was about a Broadway actress. Anyway, Wainwright was there blaming Brexit.
Of course.
And Lord knows Brexit has been blamed for a few things. And I was mildly incensed by his rather arrogant attitude that he appeared to be taking no responsibility whatsoever for the mediocrity.
Because that is the way, Jonathan. Never anyone's fault. Blame somebody else.
So I chose to vent my spleen to the editor of the Times.
Excellent.
And to be fair, the editor of the Times very graciously gave a couple of column inches to print my letter on the letters page, where I referenced that Wainwright has blamed Brexit. And I said if he'd concentrated more on writing sharper lyrics rather than the frequently trite and repetitive pop song verse that he'd penned, then perhaps, just perhaps, the show might have been saved. The cast and Sheridan Smith are fantastic. Wainwright, however, has a lot to answer for. I've yet to hear from Wainwright or any of his team. I suspect I won't. But I felt somewhat vindicated that the Times had chosen to print my letter. And then remember, Wainwright's interview popped up in The Guardian. Hardly surprising that The Guardian would possibly champion a Brexit.
Can't imagine why, but anyway, okay, we'll move on.
The next day after my letter, a theatre chappie has a frequently appearing column in The Stage, chap called David Benedict, also criticised Wainwright's comments, but he took a different approach. He criticised, aspects of Wainwright's musical creation, but then he went on to say that no one obviously has the data to create a Venn diagram of the overlap between people who vote Brexit and regular theatre goers, because he goes on to say, I'd hazard that will be close to empty, i.e., if you support Brexit, you are not going to be a regular theatre goer. What an arrogant tit! Excuse my French.
No, you should have then said arrogant tit.
Arrogant. Quite. Yes, because that's how they say it on the continent.
Jonathan, let's just cut to the chase. It's utter bollocks, and that's all there is to it. It's word salad. It's absolute word salad. I do, of course, blame Brexit that I didn't wake up next to Claudia Winkleman this morning. But there you go.
Yeah,
that is Brexit.
Yeah,
I'm telling you now.
Indeed,
this is pseudo intellectual nonsense, and it's not even intellectual. There's no scintilla of truth in this.
It's an arrogance, and something that I was aware of in the run up back in the day in the run up to the vote in 2016. Because what this chappie is saying is that of the 52% of the electorate, that 52% does not include any regular theatre goers. That's such a remarkably...
How does he possibly know? With respect, horses for courses. If one is a theatre critic, that doesn't make you the big shot, the maven, the know-all about who goes to the theatre. You have no idea what their political allegiance is.
What I became aware of, because I'm someone who doesn't choose to follow the political herd, certainly within the arts world, what I became aware of, excuse me, in the run-up to the vote in 2016, is a number of people who were Brexit supporting, who were contacting me privately because they recognised that I was an independent voice rather than following any particular party line, and saying how intimidated they felt from their positions, either as a creative in the theatre world or as an actor or as a director in the theatre world. They felt silenced because it was going to hit them in the pocket if they spoke out with their views and opinions. And it's aspects like these two events of last week, both surprisingly printed in The Guardian, that really show that nothing has changed in those attitudes of elitist arrogance.
It is elitist. It is arrogant. Graham Pack says rightly, the audience, with referencing Brexit, voted to leave rather than remain at the show. That's the only thing that democracy can show. The man's right. You can't, I keep saying, and you and I discussed this, that going to the theatre now with the prices, with all the add-on costs, is a conscious decision. You don't sit there going, what are you doing tonight? I don't know. Should we go to the theatre? Okay. No, because you don't throw away 100, 200 quid time you finish messing around on a whim. Well, at least I don't. It's a considered purchase, right? And you have every right as a theatre goer to say this is not up to the standard we expect in the London West End or on Broadway. There are some brilliant lyricists out there who set the bar because of their genius very, very high. And if a show sucks, a show sucks. You can blame everyone in the world, but the fact is you weren't good enough. And this is the big disease that runs first through the 21st century. Instead of looking in the mirror and going, do you know what? I simply didn't do enough work. It wasn't up to standard. It's my fault. You got to turn around and blame everybody else except yourself. It's a ludicrous and pretentious argument. Blaming Brexit.
And some new writing is fantastic. We talked about Two Strangers Carry a Cake today. There's a show that's recently opened at the National, London Tide. And over recent months, you've heard me praise the National Theatre for the new writing that they brought on. London Tide is an adaptation of Charles Dickens, Our Mutual Friend.
Right.
I'm no Dickens expert, but the show is awful.
You didn't like it? Well, it's interesting. A friend of mine who goes to the theatre all the time popped along to see it, quite liked it, wasn't raving about it, did point out to me I would hate it. I was. It's more than 3 hours. You got to be pretty brave to try and improve on Dickens. Lionel Bart did it. To be fair. But he also, I mean, if you remember, the Genius of Oliver, one of the greatest musicals of all, probably as near to perfection as you're going to find. Just fantastic on every level. And then you had Twang, which died on its ass. It was oh my God. And you think it's the same guy who wrote it.
Same guy. Bart took Dickens and he started with, and Dickens obviously wrote a damn good book to begin with, because as Hal Prince famously said, any good show relies on the book. Those are the three core elements of any good musical. But London Tide, or one of the lyrics, I put it in my review, London is not England, England is not London. Discuss.
Fantastic. Answers on a postcard to Horace Batchelor, Keynsham. That's Keyn. It's an old guy. Jonathan, is that everything for this week? What a smorgasbord of theatrical criticism. Love having you on the show. Bless you for everything you do. Thank you for going out there endlessly on your behalf, on our behalf, and telling people what's good and what to avoid like the plague. Jonathan Baz, our fearless, will not be gagged theatre critic here on the Midday Show. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you.
See you in a couple of weeks. Bye. He is the king of cheesecake. Now, before the queen of the silver screen comes on, who is looking as pulchritudinous as ever, time to inject something new. Something exciting. Anyway, I'm doing it because she phoned me up, and I wouldn't normally do it. But I couldn't get her off the bloody phone, to be perfectly honest, and she's a bit of a pain in the ass. Emily Dexter is in the house.
Hello.
That's okay. I'm going to cut straight to it. What the hell are you wearing? What's going on? What's happening?
I am doing a charity walk tomorrow. This is what I'm wearing.
By the way, when you're walking, do you have to do that, or can you just walk like a normal person? I can't read.
Beautiful.
What does it say?
Moonwalk.
I'm not doing.
So I'm not doing the moonwalk.
Oh, you're not
FYI.
doing the
I'm not a
moonwalk.
crazy, totally crazy woman yet. That's in the pipeline for maybe a couple of years' time. But
Okay.
the moonwalk charity, Walk the Walk,
Walk the
hence
walk.
T-shirt.
Yes. Yeah.
Hence why I'm on your show wearing a T-shirt with a bra on it, as you do on a Friday morning.
I just thought you were
Afternoon, in fact.
trying to be saucy. But okay.
So, yes, I rang you up a couple of days ago, didn't I? And said, I'm doing this.
I don't know. It felt like a lifetime ago, Emily, to be honest with you. The way things are going with
and
me.
I
But
wouldn't
anyway,
get
all
off
right.
the phone until you.
No, I couldn't get
kindly
you off.
said I could come on.
If Emily Dexter ever goes into telemarketing, you'll have more double glazing than you know what to do with. That's all I have to say. On
previous life, been there, done that. No worries.
Yes, you probably have.
Yes.
Right. Tell
Ironically.
us about what you're doing, because it's something that's very close to my heart. I normally say no to anybody else coming on a Friday, but because it's close to my heart.
But it is very important, isn't it? So, Walk the Walk, for those of you who don't know, are the iconic charity who organise the Moonwalk, the marathon walk through London. It's happening tomorrow night.
Yep.
Now, yours truly is not in a position to do that. But they
bizarrely, I was asked to host it.
You were, indeed, which is why we were having a conversation.
I was asked to host it, but I said, well, we didn't agree. So I'm not hosting. I have hosted it in the past. There was me and 17,000 women in the biggest tent in Europe. I am not making that up. Me, 17,000 women in one tent in the park. Biggest marquee in Europe. And I still went home alone. Tells you everything you need to know. Right, go on. It's a fantastic thing.
That Clapham Common scenario that you found yourself in is happening again tomorrow night.
Fabulous.
Tens of thousands of women and men. I've been told this year, more men than ever before.
Because men can get breast cancer.
Of course they can.
I know everyone thinks, what? No. When I was very closely associated with breast cancer care, men can get breast cancer. It is not exclusively for women. Okay.
Indeedy. So there are 3 walks going now, Russ. It's changed since you did that iconic.
Iconic night. Yeah, go on.
So there is now, this is the very first year of the Zoom Walk. The Zoom Walk has a rocket ship as its logo. 150 of us mad things have signed up for tomorrow morning to go and do 5K around Clapham Common.
Okay.
We're going to try and do it in under 2 hours.
Good luck with that.
I've roped another friend of mine into it. Of course I have.
Oh,
lovely.
They said yes just to get you to shut up. Okay. And
the theme for the Moonwalk is Fabulous Fiesta, hence the amazing thing that I'm wearing now. Now, I will be wearing my own customized bra, which I thought was probably a little bit too much for midday on a Friday. But, you know, there will be photos on social media. You can follow us, what we're doing, on my Instagram, which is at Emily C. Dexter. And essentially, the idea is to raise tons and tons of money, all of us, for breast cancer research. It is the amazing charity that is grant giving, supports women through their treatment and men through their treatment. They do the most incredible work. Russ, you know about it as well.
I do. And I support them 100%. I support them 100%. The work they do is wonderful, and we can never do enough for that.
No.
They will sort it eventually.
Yes.
Eventually. It'll take time, but they will sort it. They will.
So we set off at 10:15 tomorrow around Clapham Common, strolling along very nicely. I should say the reason I'm doing it, not just because it's an incredible charity, it is, and because unfortunately we all know men and women who've had breast cancer.
Indeed.
It's a fact of life. It's a terrible, terrible thing. But I've been inspired by my incredible godmother who has it. She was diagnosed last year. And my amazing godmother, Lynn Wallace, who doesn't even know I'm doing this interview, saying hello.
Oh, bless. Bless her. I'm so sorry. Please send our support. I don't know. I can never find, even now, 20 years on, I can't find the right words. But send our support to your godmother.
I will. Thank you very, very much. Well, yeah, I love her to bits, as everybody who knows her does too. She's in remission, which is fantastic because she's a fighter.
How long has she been in remission for, Em?
Well, she was diagnosed last year and she's on that journey at the moment. But she's doing beautifully and we're very, very proud of her. So she's inspired me, which is why at 3 a.m. in the morning, a few weeks ago, I signed myself and my friend up. I was like, I'm doing this for her this year. I'm going to do it.
Okay, good.
And also because I found a lump in my left breast, she says, holding onto her left breast last year, which is why I came onto your show.
That's
and I suddenly thought, ooh, this is a bit close for comfort. I've got a lump. Help me.
Yep.
And that's what I want to do. I want to inspire people to keep check themselves. Now, I was really lucky that my local hospital, incredible Kingston Hospital, thank you so much, guys, whizzed me in and out. And within a week, I knew it was non-cancerous. I was fine. There was nothing to worry about.
For you,
adenoma, big spell,
few, says everybody collectively.
Go and check them, everybody. We've all got them. You know, you may not call them breasts, you boys, but you do have them, and they're really important.
Boobs. We call them man boobs, I think, or moobs. The thing is, and I'm going to be deadly serious, which I am in real life, is this: we're all terrified of it. Everyone talks about it, but you are put into the most terrible tailspin. You don't even want to hear the word cancer. And I think a lot of people put their head in the sands and think, it'll be fine. Get it checked. Get it checked, because this bastard disease is time sensitive. And you can head so much off at the pass by getting in there early. The longer you leave it, the more difficult I hate the word journey, the more difficult your treatment, let's be grown up about it, let's not mince words, your treatment is going to have to be much more aggressive than if you deal with it. And you want that pressure out of your head, like Emily did. Emily and I talked about it a lot. She came on the show when talked us through it. Deal with it on the spot, please.
And what was wonderful is I had a horrible sleepless night when I found it before I went to sleep and thought, oh my God, what on earth? And Lynn had been diagnosed only about 6 months before. And my godmother, and I thought, whoa, hang on, this is bizarre. I was 35 at the time, and thought this is not something I thought I'd be encountering. No. So everything went through my head for a week, but they were really, really fast. And I went and had tests done, explained to me what it was, got me in for all kinds of wonderful doctors involved very, very quickly. And my mind was put at rest within a week.
That's the main point. Emily, we wish you all the very, very, very best. What you're going to do is you're going to come back and tell us how it went.
I am.
Now everyone's intrigued. We've got a packed show. So I'm going to get rid of you now.
Thank you very much. Bye.
I can say that. Bye, Emily. You're doing a great thing, by the way, in all seriousness. You know it. You know it. We're sending love. Moonwalk. Fantastic. It was fantastic. What an experience. Now, talking of things fantastic, although I can't use the word experience in the same sentence because that's probably libelous. You know her. You all love her. Chantal Rickards OBE.
Hello. Happy Friday.
Oh, happy Friday to you.
How are you? Have you had a good week?
I've had pretty I think I've been all right. I've been okay. I got a big wedding that I'm officiating at tomorrow.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep, big wedding. So that's all done, and they like all the vows and everything that I've created. And I've got a ceremony going on, doing a ribbon ceremony as well, which I'm excited about. And at the moment I finish this show, I'm writing a eulogy because I've got a funeral in Bristol. Is it next week? Next week, I got a funeral in Bristol, so which I'm officiating at as well. So yeah, plus my biggest news is from my literary agent. I'm getting the edited version of my book back finally.
Oh, wow. When? Today?
No, it probably won't be. Here's the thing. If you've ever written a book, right? I got it, Russ. Yeah, I got to have it by Christmas. Okay. So I kill myself, finished like 85, 90,000 words or something of my new serial killer book. Off it goes. Where are we? May the 17th. I'm still waiting to get the sodding thing back. But publishing is not a speedy business, ladies and gentlemen. It is not speedy. But I'm very excited about this book. Very excited about it. So finally, I've had a number of emails this week saying, yep, nearly finished the editing process. You're getting it back.
Okay.
Of course, I don't know how much it's changed. I don't know how much it's changed.
Yeah, let's hope there aren't too many red pencil marks all over.
The problem is my agent is super brainy, super smart, and ludicrously intellectual. Something no one's ever accused me of. So I kind of wanted a nice, straightforward, thriller. And I think I'm going to get I don't know. Something like A Brief History of Time back. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
God knows. We shall see. But he's a great bloke, and I'm very
Good. Well,
fond of
good
him.
luck with it.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Anyway, I need a big thank you to you. As
Yeah.
always, I had never heard of, until you said it last week, Inside Number 9 on the BBC. Right? I'd never heard of it. I'm a big Steve Pemberton fan, but I'd never heard of this show. Anyway, thanks to you, I started to watch it. Holy moly. Shanters, it's
Did you watch the
fantastic.
new one, or did you go back?
No, what I did is,
Yeah.
of course, as I have done for God knows how many years with Nola, take your advice because it's always brilliant, which is infuriating. My advice is always shit. Hers is fantastic. So I said, the one set in the tube train or the train or whatever it was, right? So I started with the new one. I went, oh my God, what? Oh,
I know.
wow.
I didn't
And-
see it coming.
no, not at all. You know there's going to be a twist, but you don't see that.
No.
And then I went right back to series 1.
Oh,
This is series about 800 or so. I don't know what the hell it is. I went right back to series 1. Oh, wow.
right.
What a show.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
you're ahead of me now because I've only done the one recent one.
Oh,
but
right.
I
Oh,
need to
no,
start
thank
something
you.
else.
Thank you. Thank you. It's absolutely marvelous. And the other thing, a huge thank you. Because I always write down your recommendations. Only Murders in the Building on Disney Plus.
Ah,
One of the greatest things I've seen in years since
yeah, it's
the
really good.
Kaminsky method. It's right up. It's nearly as good as the Kaminsky method.
It's won a ton of awards.
Oh,
most particularly in
It's
the US.
terrific.
Yeah.
It's called Only Murders in the Building. I
Yeah.
have not enjoyed a show so much in years.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Steve
you. Thank you.
Martin and I can't remember his partner's
Steve
name.
Martin and Martin Short and Selena
Martin Short.
Gomez.
Yeah.
Martin Short's one of my favorites. The script, the acting, the lines, the interchange, the touching emotions, the sheer aspects of the whodunit. Great.
Yeah.
And that's
It's good fun.
because you said so. So thank you.
Good. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad.
Well, there you go. You're
Excellent.
scoring 2 out of
I'm
2.
keeping
Couldn't
you
be
happy.
better.
If nobody else, I'm keeping you happy.
No, everybody who knows me just think, thank you. You're keeping him quiet.
Yeah. Well, I now know the sorts of things you like, so I think my recommendations are fairly skewed towards
Don't.
you.
Don't. It's for everybody else watching all over the world. But yeah, I mean, those two were just so spot on, Chantal.
Brilliant.
They were just like, oh, this is great. Loving it. Anyway, there you go.
Well,
What's new?
Well, I thought I should just quickly reference back to last week when we were talking about baby reindeer.
Oh, yes.
Just because it's been in the news every day since then. Because last Saturday night, Piers Morgan on his YouTube channel interviewed the woman concerned who had
was it the real life woman? The real life
yes,
woman.
and she is called Fiona Harvey, and she self-declared, as it were, that she was the woman who the story is about. So for those that weren't listening last week to our talk about Baby Reindeer, it's a drama on Netflix, and it's by a writer and performer called Richard Gadd, who appears in it. And the lead character is based on a woman who supposedly turned out to be a stalker who pursued them over a 3-year period. And most importantly, Netflix, the card at the beginning of the program says, this is a true story.
Right.
So she clearly realized, people started phoning her saying there is this new drama about you. She says she hasn't seen the program, but she
hasn't seen it. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? She says she hasn't seen it, but then she did criticize the accent of the actress, saying it.
Oh, but she hasn't seen it.
Yeah, it wasn't quite like her accent.
Apparently, allegedly.
Allegedly. So there's a lot of allegedlys flying around at the moment, most particularly because Fiona Harvey now says that she is going to sue Netflix. So I think if I were in the Netflix press office, I would be having a fairly worrying week. And now it's been picked up by a Scottish MP who has tabled some sort of question demanding that Netflix respond as to whether this is a true story or not. So clearly this is a story that is going to run and run. But the interview with the woman herself on YouTube, which is a 1-hour interview for which apparently she was paid £250 and she got a haircut and she was given a car to the studio. She's now.
But can I tell you, I'm going to jump in quickly, possibly not a car back. That's how it works now. I'm not making that up.
Very possibly. Well,
I used to do something on Boxing Day or Christmas Eve. They said, "Oh, we'll take you. We're not taking you home." I said, "It's what, 2 a.m. What do you want? I'm going to do? Walk?"
I know. Well, that's
go to the studio. I refused. Jeez, God damn.
She's now saying because Piers got one of his highest audiences ever, that she wants Piers to retrospectively pay her £1 million, which I think she might be waiting.
Sorry, what? Yeah, because that's how TV works. Oh, here's the contract. I'll sign. Oh, the show was a hit. No, I want to. Sod off. That's basically. Going back all the loop. I have a phenomenal cheesecake recipe. Says Leslie Demeser, who's got nothing to do with baby reindeer. But this is a cheesecake. Always time for cheesecake. Let's not get ourselves. Should the real life, this is an actual very good question from Graham Pack. Should the real life baby reindeer be fated? We will probably see her on Celebrity. Graham, couldn't agree with you more, fella. That's exactly how it works. The producers will go, this is good value. If she's nuts, even better. If she's not nuts, well, it'll still be good publicity. They don't care. They don't care. They're brutal. You know it.
No. Well, it's been watched by 65. The actual TV series has been watched by 65 million people around the world.
Good.
So I mean, it's a massive Netflix.
So I'm a little confused here. I'm joking. No, joking aside, I haven't seen. I've seen clips from the show, so I get what it's about. I understand all that. All right. Yeah. The interview with Piers Morgan, he wasn't slow off the mark with that one, or his producers one.
Yeah.
Did she come across as like you're thinking, oh, God, this is scary? Or did she come across as a completely rational person who's been maligned? I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Well, this is purely my opinion.
It's only Chantal's personal opinion. Okay.
I would say there were holes in what she said.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's very hard to. I think she can prove very easily if she was accused of stalking, and if she went to jail. I mean, those things are quite easy to prove.
Well, there's no wiggle room with that. You either went to jail or you don't go to jail. You either. Am I wrong? Don't tell me I'm wrong, please. No,
but where she's describing about how many emails she sent and were they friends and not friends, she goes back on herself several times, and you end up thinking, I am none the wiser as to whether any of this is true. And she has been prosecuted in the past for another complaint against her, not for stalking, but for harassment. And that is documented.
So she's got form. So she's got form.
She's got an accusation of stalking, let's put it that way.
All right.
It wasn't quite followed through in the Scottish courts, but anyway, I think there was a restraining order against her. Basically, she's got a history that suggests that all might not be.
You are so wonderfully. Why aren't you London Mayor? You're so wonderfully political. She has a history which suggests possibly a nuance of.
Yes, it's very nuanced.
I'm just wondering, though, going back to, I get the idea why it's a gripping drama and people were shocked and involved and engaged. I get all that. The storyline's very, very strong. Get that.
Yeah.
But if you take somebody like that and then you put them on Piers Morgan, if I don't know the person, so I'm just saying if it's a general question.
Yeah.
If the person is mentally fragile, all right, which a lot of people are. If somebody is mentally fragile, it's why I can't stand Jeremy Kyle, because I thought he personally, I thought he took advantage of situation. That's just me, and his producers.
No, me too. Couldn't agree more.
That's just me. People liked it on TV, but then they can switch their TV off. For these people, it's very, very real. They're real people. They're not actors. I just wonder how sort of. I hate to even use the word moral when it comes to TV, but you know what I'm saying? If they are that way inclined. You're taking advantage of them, kind of.
Well,
really.
you are, and indeed, that accusation was also levelled at Piers.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So it is really interesting to see. Having said that, it was the most gobsmacking 1 hour of television on YouTube that I have seen in some considerable time. Yeah. But there we go. So if you're involved in any way with the baby reindeer story, there is this 1 hour that Piers has done.
I saw a tiny clip, and I have to say they got the casting of this woman pretty damn spot on. Whoever was the casting director, because wow, I thought I was looking. I didn't realize that was the actual real life person. I thought he was interviewing the actress, who I'm afraid I don't know the name, but I thought that's what it was. So, okay,
well, interestingly, she says she's never met the actress. But a lot of people say that the actress is incredibly playing this woman so incredibly well.
Yeah.
And actually, when you see the real woman and you see the actress's portrayal, you think, how did that actress make it so appropriate, so exact?
Yes.
Based on the fact that one understands that they never ever met. And I was thinking, did the actress, find her, watch her movements, or get to see her when she was sitting in a pub, but sit very quietly from the other side of the room? I have no idea, but whatever she did as an actress
then leads
miraculously accurate.
Then leads to the question, who's stalking who? I understand that actors, actresses, I will continue to say both. Sorry. They do proper research. They delve into the character and become that. If they're any good, if you're Jason Statham, you're Jason Statham, and bless him, you know what you're going to. It's the McDonald's of movies. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get a Jason Statham movie.
Or a Vin Diesel movie.
Or a Vin Diesel. You know what you're going to get. It's absolutely fine. It's not a problem. It's they do very, very well, and they're in their genre. They're tip-top films. All right, okay. They're not intellectual, but they're tip-top entertainment. I like it. I really like it. I love it.
They're very popular.
They're very popular. I love them. Put your mind in neutral. I love them. But how could she get that? How could she?
No idea.
Unless the only way she could do it is, of course, the actor portraying the guy who was being stalked was the actual guy being stalked in real life, right?
Indeed.
So it was his experience.
With his story.
So he must have absolutely done a huge debrief, if you like, in minute detail of what this alleged story. Oh, God, I hate all this crap. But anyway, what she was actually like. But even so, those mannerisms would be pretty hard to carbon copy. Nice cutting edge reference there, Russie. Carbon copy. Half the audience going, what? What did you say? What?
What's a carbon copy?
Telex machine, did you say? Fax? Wow. Wow. It's, there's a point where it's entertainment and there's a line which you cross. I felt that, and people might start shouting, I felt that with Susan Boyle, who had a very genuine talent and was incredibly fragile. I'm not going to go into the details of, who's somebody coming down the stairs?
Oh, sorry. There was somebody coming down the stairs.
That's so exciting. There's
that.
Ignore that. It's Reginald Bosanquet. He's come back. Dickie Davis. It's interesting. It's interesting. Okay, right. Okay.
So you're right. And the Susan Boyle thing is fascinating because, of course, she is also Scottish and she is also quite short, and she wasn't the slimmest of ladies when we first saw her on Britain's Got Talent. So it absolutely, I had that very thought this morning that there was a similarity between the two.
And also with Susan, because she was so fragile, they Psycho put somebody to look after her all the time, had this person to just look after her, and it was not the easiest of tasks. She was fragile, but very, underneath it all, hugely talented, a beautiful voice, extraordinary. But some people are not. Showbiz is a cesspit if you're not careful, and if it is. If you don't know what you're doing, it will eat you up and chew you out. It's not for the faint-hearted.
No, which is why the first program I really wanted to mention this week is just simply delightful. And it's a reality show, and I never normally watch reality shows or sort of game shows and things, even though I used to be in that part of the entertainment world. It's not really my thing. But I watched it because I heard two people discussing it at a sports club that I belong to in West London. And I thought, well, yes, indeed. They were women sort of my age. And I thought, well, that's
38.
30, if only, that these two women are discussing it. And I thought, well, hang on, maybe I should look this program up because there's obviously more to it than meets the eye.
Right.
And I went home and I watched the first episode of a series that's been going.
I'm going to guess.
Okay.
I have no idea what it is. Is it Fortune Hotel? No, I'm guessing. I don't know because I haven't spoken to you about it. Is it? No.
No.
Oh, all right.
No.
Shut up, Russell. Okay.
Right. Okay. No, it's called Race Across the World.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, you do like? Well,
Race Across the World's good.
But I mean, I love the idea that I can still turn on BBC One and find something that I haven't watched before that's been around for a long time.
Yeah, it's good.
But it's won a BAFTA, which again I didn't know. I knew it was nominated for a BAFTA this year, but I didn't vote this year in the entertainment category, so I haven't watched all the programs.
Yes.
But it's absolutely charming, and it's not like any of those other reality shows where they're going for the divisive moments or the sort of moments of acrimony or upset. It's actually much more about how people get on as opposed to how they don't get on.
That's why I like it.
It's delightful.
It's a kind of positive. It's a kind of positive thing. Look, you know, and I know that the producers take any of those reality shows, cut them up in the editing room to make Fred Smith look like a monster and Maureen Jones look like the bitch from hell, and that's what they want because they want everyone. They want clickbait and they want everyone chewing at the scenery because they get angry about it. Otherwise, most of these shows are incredibly boring in real life when they're being enacted. They're dull as hell. And you and I know loads of people who've been on the Jungle Show and all those, and they say the worst thing was it was so boring.
Yeah.
They had nothing to do 24 hours a day. They were going out of their minds with boredom. You can't show that. So it's nice when something really positive comes along and you're kind of rooting for them, aren't you? I mean, they seem perfectly decent people and you're rooting. Come on, get the bus, get the train.
Yeah, it's lovely. No, it's a 9-part series. This is series 4. They're going from Sapporo in Japan to Lombok in Indonesia. It's a very loose format, which is basically they're given at the beginning of this journey that they have to make in couples, not sort of amorous couples. It can be
just two people hanging out.
Could be friends, they could be siblings, whatever. And they have to make their way from A to B over a prescribed period using no more than the value of what would have been the plane ticket from A to B. And they have no mobile phones. Hurrah! They have to talk to each other.
No phones.
No mobile phones at all.
Yeah, can't use a plane. Can't.
A world map, which is not very big. So even finding the countries is difficult, let alone
it's like it's absolute pants. It's always raining. They open this huge map. Where are we? We're kind of here. I'm like, if I didn't have Waze, I would not find my way to the kitchen.
Exactly. But that's the sort of delight of it because they're in it together. You want them all to win because actually the casting is brilliant because they're all really nice.
They're perfectly nice people, aren't they?
Yeah.
The interesting thing again, Graham Pack saying he likes it. It's I don't care who wins or loses. I don't know these people. It's irrelevant to me. But what I do like is looking at the places because they're pretty obscure, some of these places, and you think, oh, I've never seen that before. That's interesting. It's a new city, a new little village, new scenery. It's entertaining and sort of gives you a bit of more of a wider world view.
Yeah,
not everything is European.
Yeah, travelogues meets, a game show meets I don't know. They're just warm and lovely. So if you want something warm and lovely, just shove on an episode and you'll be carried away to beautiful places for an hour.
That and Gogglebox, because again, I love every single person on the Gogglebox, and it's so varied. It makes me laugh out loud. It just creases me up, Gogglebox. Creases me up.
That's
I mean, the idea is so infuriatingly simple and annoying, and you think, well, that's going to be rubbish, and it's hilarious.
Yeah,
just so funny.
Brilliant casting, and fun enough, I think it's the same production company. I think it is.
Oh, then somebody's got a very steady hand.
Yeah,
someone's got a very steady hand on that tiller. They know what they're doing, because Gogglebox could have been really vicious and unpleasant, and yet you're laughing along with them because they're laughing at each other and joking, and I don't know. It's clever on so many levels. It's very clever.
Yeah, it is. It's brilliant.
What
very
else?
Yes,
it is. Anything else? Any quick movies or anything?
Try something that everybody's talking about this week called The Gathering on Channel 4, which is a drama made by the people who made Line of Duty and The
God. Is it all in acronyms?
No acronyms.
Oh, thank God. Keep it on the D low, CR.
The editing is a bit random, so I'm not. Oh God, something's fallen over.
Wow. Round one.
Could be anything. I'm not really into time shifting because time shifting confuses the brain.
Time shifting is weak. It's pretty weak, and it's never done very well.
There's an awful lot of moving forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards. That aside, it's a whodunit. And all we know is that there is a woman who they are trying to revive who's been found on the shore of a beach. We know there's been a rave on a little island just off the coast of the Wirral in Merseyside. So there are lots of lovely Scouse accents all over the place. It's part whodunit, but it's slightly more clever than that. It's not a police procedural. It's much more about the drama. And the drama is based around two young girls who are teenagers, who are both elite gymnasts, and they're both trying to get into the English team.
God,
and one comes from the right side of town and one comes from the slightly more difficult side of town. One's got a gorgeous dad who's fully supportive and she's lost her mum, and the other girl has the mother from hell. And the skullduggery that goes on between the one side and the other side obviously has led to this moment in time where this young woman, one of the girls, has been found on the beach and they are trying to revive her. So they keep going backwards until the whole thing is resolved. I haven't got to the end. I've got about 4 episodes in. I think it's a 6-parter, but I'm really enjoying it. But you have to keep up with the timeline shifts.
The Gathering on Channel 4.
And it's got the lovely Liverpudlian actor Warren Brown in, who was in The Responder, and he was in Hollyoaks.
Lovely Scouse accent, oxymoron.
And he's the gorgeous dad. He's the lovely dad. Anyway, so there you go. I think it's worth watching. I mean, I think there's been a bit of controversy around it. A lot of young people are going, oh, the mother's ghastly, or teenagers aren't really like that. No. But from my perspective, it feels very authentic, and I'm rather enjoying it. So
I'll tell you the biggest revelation for me this week, and I was thinking of you. The BAFTAs were on. I think I was having.
They were.
The BAFTAs were on.
BAFTAs.
And my entire life, I assumed this sounds sad, that Sarah Lancashire spoke with a northern accent. So when Sarah Lancashire won and got up and spoke in a sort of clear-cut home counties accent, I was like,
who's that?
What the hell? I didn't think she was acting. I thought that's how she spoke.
No,
I know.
I think
it's sad. I know it's sad. I know.
Yeah, you're just confused by the name. If you're called Lancashire, you don't have to have a Lancashire accent.
No, she should have been called Sarah Guildford or something. Then I would have been so. That's damn good, though, isn't it? It's like the one time it was in Tesco's, actually. I'm not joking. And I ran into Pam St. Clement. So I went up and just said, Miss St. Clement, just want to say how much I admire your body of work. Thank you so much. And I left. I think that's not intrusive. And she said, oh, thank you very much indeed. That's incredibly kind of you. And I'm like, that's Pat Butcher, for God's sake. Pat Butcher speaks like that. Boom. Mind officially blown. Chantal, as ever, thank you so much. I love your recommendations. They are always boom on the money. And everybody, because afterwards I always get messages. What did she say? What channel was it on? I can't tell you. I'm like the Chantal Rickards fan club, secretary, writing, replying to everyone. Thank you so much. That's it for this week, Chantals. We will see you soon. Thank you, Chantal Rickards. We all love her far too much. That is it for another absolutely packed week. I will be back on Monday, God willing, with Neil Longy Long and guests and conversations, and Neil dives deep into all his mentally clever stuff to improve our lives, most of which, oddly enough, actually works. He'll be back on Wednesday, and then we'll be back with the whole gang, including, if he can find the time for his old friends, Mr. Phil, I wear a cravat just to look casual, Dave. Until then, have a lovely weekend. Let's hope it stops. If it stops raining, it'll be all right. Looking forward to the wedding tomorrow in Essex. And I think you're going to have a lovely ceremony. Until then, try and stay out of trouble.